Hello everyone, my name is Primacon and welcome to the definitive Hollow Knight charm tier list. I'm gonna rank every single charm in Hollow Knight from S to D. In fact, you know what? We're gonna rename these little brackets to something more interesting. So at the very top, we're gonna have some overpowered charms, because some charms in this game are really OP and must use. At A tier, we'll have really good. B tier is just like your average. They're not necessarily bad, not necessarily great, could work in any build. C is gonna be better charms exist. These are like inferior, worse versions of the average charms, because a lot of charms in Hollow Knight overlap and some of them are just better versions of others. So this is gonna have like the worst versions of every charm. And at the bottom, we have the absolute garbage trash, I'm gonna call it Umu, the dog shit tier of tier lists. This is where the scum of the barrel goes, the lowest of the lows, the absolute dog shit lunacy charms that if you're using, you might be crazy. Starting up with Dream Wielder, I'm gonna put this in the really good tier. This is the charm that I feel like you start using when you become good at the game. You won't see your 80-85% of Hollow Knight player base ever use this charm. Because what it does is it allows you to cast your Dream Nail faster and also gives you more soul when using your Dream Nail. Which is honestly like, that's a tactic you use if you're really good at Hollow Knight combat. So most people don't use it. The people who do, this is like your gateway ticket to calling yourself really good at Hollow Knight. So this, by definition, is going in the really good tier. Next we have the Dream Shield. Fun fact, I used to use Dream Shield a lot when I was new to the game. In my first playthrough, I was borderline using it as a crutch at some times. I remember fighting like Markot and other bosses where I just couldn't do it without Dream Shield. So by experience, it is good for new players, but my only gripe with this charm is the charm cost. It costs 3 notches, which I believe it's like way too expensive for the value that this provides. But for now, I think I'm gonna just leave it in average tier. I may knock it down to better charms exist, but for now, I'm just gonna leave it here. Fragile Heart. This is a charm that's really slept on in my opinion. This charm is just really good, and trust me, I'm gonna put it in really good tier, and I'm gonna put it below Dream Wielder. And the reason being, this charm just straight up gives you 2 extra health. 2 extra health is really good in Hollow Knight. This is a difficult game. And having 2 health that you can actually heal, and it's not just lifeblood, it's really good. And I know this is fragile, so it'll break, but just by having those 2 health, your chances of dying are not like, they go down considerably when you put the charm on anyway. And yeah, it's fragile, but even if it breaks, it's very easy to get it fixed by leg eater. It doesn't cost a lot, so I'm gonna put it in really good tier. Now the next one, oh god, Fragile Strength. This charm is the GOAT. This is one of the most powerful charms in the game, and it only goes more stronger the more late game you are. But this is the fragile version, but I feel like it still belongs in overpowered. The reason being, you are so powerful when you equip it. You do so much damage that it doesn't really matter that it's a fragile charm. You will just destroy things, especially when you get later on in the game where you get the spiral or the pure nail. Because how it does is it increases your damage by 50%. So the more base damage your nail has, the more effective this charm is. And later on in the game when your nail is doing like 20 damage, this charm is insane. I can't believe so many people still look at this, because you can get this so early on in the game. A lot of people just don't equip it because of its fragile nature. But don't let that fool you. This charm is easily OP. Glowing Voom. I'm gonna throw this in the Umu trash tier charm. I hate this charm. This is the worst charm in the whole minion, little minion charm fucking gimmick. And the reason being, you can't heal. When you have this stupid charm, it just takes your soul without your permission or consent and poops out these little flying bugs that are not helpful at all. Whereas you could have used that soul to either cast spells or heal, which are both considerably more useful than any value this charm will ever provide you. This is an absolute shitty charm. If you want to use minion builds or use a charm that gives you a minion, there's better charms out there than this garbage. And while we're talking about garbage, Grimchild. Grimchild is gonna go at the very bottom of Umu tier, because in my belief, this is the worst charm in the fucking game. You can't do anything with it. This charm It doesn't aid you in battle. It doesn't aid you in the game. It doesn't, all it does, it hogs up your charm notches when you're trying to fight like NKG. You can't do challenge runs with it. It's absolute dog shit. And not only that, but by just getting this charm, you are sacrificing one of the best charms in the game, which is Carefree Melody. We'll get to it when we get to it. But for now, Grimchild is absolute shit. It also aggroes enemies when you don't want it to aggro enemies because it just shoots at anything that moves. So all in all, this charm fucking sucks. Now, Heavy Blow. Okay, I'm gonna put Heavy Blow in average. And this might be too high for some people, but let me tell you my reasoning. My reasoning is Heavy Blow staggers enemies faster. So if you have Heavy Blow equipped, some enemies like, not enemies, but bosses like Hornet or Broken Vessel, they stagger sooner. And those bosses already stagger really fast. But if you equip this charm while you're trying to, say, do those bosses on Radiant difficulty, it makes it really easy because this charm lets you just stun lock enemies or bosses. And it's really good. It's slapped on a little bit in my opinion, so I'm throwing it in average tier. Oh, Hive Blood. I am about to say something really controversial. I know a lot of people poop on this charm because of its insane charm notch cost. 4 charm notches, but I will put it at the bottom of really good tier. Now hold on, my reason is this charm is actually goated in White Palace. I have always used this charm when I'm in White Palace because you don't really need anything else. You don't need combat charms, you don't need your navigations, you don't need anything fucking weird. And what this charm does, it slowly regenerates any damage you take. And when you're doing White Palace, by God, you're gonna take a lot of damage, especially in Path of Pain. This charm single-handedly got me through Path of Pain. I feel like in White Palace, especially if you're like me and you're bad at the game, you're not like Fireborn or someone insane like that, this charm can really be a lifesaver and save you so much trouble in White Palace where you wouldn't have to die and reset. You could just be patient and get your health back. But I will admit, outside that little one niche in the actual game, this charm is really stupid and useless. It has no purpose at all. There's no reason you should be ever equipping this charm outside of White Palace. But because of the insane value it provides in White Palace, I'm gonna put it in really good tier, but at the very bottom. Next up is King Soul. Not too much to say about this charm. This charm gets replaced very early on when you get it. You get it and it soon gets replaced. I'm putting it at the top of Umu tier. The only reason being you can do some challenge runs with this charm, like no nail challenge runs, because this charm gives you slight like soul. I think like 3 ticks of soul every second, something like that. But this charm is like a 5 charm notch cost charm, the most expensive in the game, and the only point of it is lore related. You get it, it gets converted to Bwhahaha, and then that's about it. Not much to say about this charm. I'm gonna leave it right here. Next up is Lifeblood Core. This charm costs 3 notches and it gives you some lifeblood when you rest at a bench. Now, I'm just gonna chuck this right into better charms exist. This is the perfect tier list for charms like this, because why in tarnation would you ever equip this charm when Fragile or Unbreakable Heart exists? There's no reason to ever equip any of the lifeblood charms over the actual heart charm, because you can't heal lifeblood, and healing is good in this video game. So when a charm costs 3 notches, same as some absolute goats like Quick Slash and Shaman Stone, and in return it gives you so little, there's no reason for this charm to be any higher up in the game. If you do not for some reason have heart and you have lifeblood charms, then yeah, maybe you could equip it, but other than that, just equip heart. Don't bother with this charm, it's bad. Oh, but from bad we go to better. We go to Mark of Pride, baby. It's going straight up, right at the top, dare I say at the very top of S tier. The reason being I'm putting it higher than Fragile Strength is because you get both of these charms nearly at the same time in the game, very early on in Fungal Waste, but this charm provides so much more value than Fragile Strength when you get it, and that value never goes down throughout the end of the game, because this charm increases your nail length by a lot, and because this game is primarily melee damage focused, this is such a big buff to you, because staying further away from bosses is really good in this video game because you take less damage. Mark of Pride, absolute goated, enough said. Now next charm is Nailmaster's Glory, and it's a charm that I recognize the use of but I am not good enough to use this charm. I have never used this charm ever before, but I do know that this charm is really good in the right hands. I will put it below Dream Wielder in really good tier. Charging your nail arts quickly is really good, and I feel like without this charm, nail arts are pretty much borderline useless, because they take too long to charge up, in which you are just standing still, charging up your nail art, and you're very vulnerable, and things move and attack really fast in this game, so without this charm, nail arts are kind of trash, not gonna lie, and this charm makes them really viable, especially in like Trial of the Fools. It's really useful. Next up, we have one of the, if not the best, by some people's standards, charms in the game, Shaman Stone. It is going top of overpowered tier. Oh my, this charm is the GOAT. A charm you can get super early on in the game, and it provides an insane amount of value. You can get this charm before these two charms. What it does is it increases the size of your spells, well, specifically your fireball, and it increases the damage. And early on in the game, spells are so overpowered. Speedrunners use this charm to do their any percent no major glitches speedrun, because this charm provides so much damage that you just melt bosses. Like, you just hit them with your nail, shoot with Shaman Stone as soon as you get soul, and it is this charm plus fireball is the goated combo ever. This charm is really good, and if you're not using this charm, then if you don't use spells a lot in Hollow Knight, I highly recommend you try using spells with Shaman Stone. It will change your whole perspective on how combat works in this game. Next, we have Shape of Un. I'm kind of tempted to put it in really good, but I just think it's way too situational to be put in here. I mean, I know so is like Hive Blood, but the situation that it does provide value in my eyes is just really specific and good. So I will put Shape of Un top of average tier. Basically, it lets you move when you're healing. You can combine this charm with Speedmaster charm. What that does is you move a lot faster when you're moving, so that helps out a lot, but I feel like that's too many charms put in towards defense that could be used in better things. Either way, on its own without any synergies, Shape of Un could be pretty useful, especially with fights like Grim or Radiance, you know, fights where you just cannot stand still to heal because there are projectiles coming from every direction. So for those boss fights, if you really want to heal a lot, this charm could be really useful, so it's going top of average tier for now. Ooh, Soul Eater. Oh, this is a tough one. This is a really tough charm to grade for me because it gives you a lot of soul. And if you're doing a spell build, this charm could be really good. Its biggest drawback, as you know, is its cost. This charm costs 4 charm notches. If this was 3 charm notches, this would be an easy S tier charm in my opinion. Easy S tier charm. But that one extra, like 4 charm notches is really insane. And the fact that Soul Catcher exists, it just like, I don't know. I will gonna put it on top of average. It could really well belong at the bottom of really good tier, but I have never really used it too much when I do my spell builds. I usually stick with Spell Twister, which is coming up next. We'll talk about it in a second, but for now, this will stay in average tier. When you do get this charm in randomizer runs though, and it costs like 2 charm notches, it's absolutely busted. Oh, Spell Twister. Spell Twister is going top of really good tier. It basically lowers the cost of your spells, so with a full ball, a full, you know, fucking volume of spell that you have, you usually can cast 3 spells. But with this charm equipped, you can cast 4. That extra spell is really good. And when you pair this bad boy up with Shaman Stone, the synergy just works so well. This actually synergizes very well with a lot of charms like Soul Catcher or Soul Eater, Shaman Stone. It's overall a really good spell. Its charm notch is really justified in my opinion, very well balanced. Overall, top of really good tier, one of the best charms in the game in my opinion. Next up is Stalwart Shell. See, this is where I have a problem with the balancing of charms in this game. While you can have something as amazing as Spell Twister for 2 charm notches, this charm notch also costs 2 notches, but all it does, it gives you more iframes, which it can be useful in certain scenarios, but I feel like the only time you'll get use out of it is by pure luck. And it's never a good idea to rely on iframes and damage tank in this game anyway. I feel like it promotes bad behavior. You should rather just learn to dodge and not get hit at all, rather than relying on getting hit and getting iframes to do more damage. Face tanking is never good and it'll never lend you skill in the game. I'll put this charm I'll put it above Heavy Blow in the average tier. I feel like these charms provide more value than this one, but it's not so bad that I'm gonna put it in the Better Charms Exist tier. Actually, I changed my mind. It's gonna go at the top of Better. Yeah, you know what? I literally just defined this charm, and it fits perfect in Better Charms Exist category. Not average, definitely below average. Now that I think about it, I compare it. Yeah, okay, it's going top of Better Charms Exist. Plus, yeah, that tier, yeah, is for spells, charms like these. Steady Body. Steady Body is one of the most controversial charms in the game. Some people love it, some people hate it. Some people fucking live by it, some people die by it. I am neither of those people. I am very indifferent towards Steady Body. I feel like it's mostly a crutch, because if you get too used to Steady Body, then you will find it very difficult to play Hollow Knight without it. What the spell does is it completely negates the little fallback you get when you hit something in the game. So if you don't play the game with Steady Body, you get used to holding right on your joystick when you're hitting something so that you can counteract the knockback. But when you do equip it and the knockback goes away, a lot of times you just end up running into the boss or the enemy and taking damage anyway. And it's a very weird habit to get used to or get rid of. All that being said, it can have some uses, because if you equip it with Quick Slash and put some fucking, I don't know, strength on it, you can just go pound town on a lot of enemies. It also pairs good with Mark of Pride. So, I don't know, I'm gonna put it in average tier, and I'm gonna throw it exactly in the middle of average tier, because that's how average this charm is in my opinion. Oh, next up is Unbreakable Heart, one of the best, if not the best, utility charms in the game. I usually don't really recommend playing defensively or having defensive charms, but if you're gonna do it this way. Use Unbreakable Heart. Much better than Fragile Heart, because you don't have to worry about anything, has the same effect as it. So I'm just gonna put it right above Fragile Heart, because it's the same charm. This one just doesn't break. But yeah, really good charm, fucking expensive to get, but really, really good. Everything that I said about Fragile Heart applies to Unbreakable Heart. Unbreakable Strength, the absolute mad lad charm. Now I'm gonna put this charm right above Shaman Stone, very top of Overpowered. Now let me tell you why these two are so far apart. The reason being, A, Strength Unbreakable doesn't break, obviously, but B, you get this charm late in the game. It's a late game charm because it costs an insane amount of geo, and when you get this charm, it is so good, because by then you probably have the Pure Nail, or you at least have the Spiral Nail, and that's when this charm really shines. So I believe that this charm in late game is honestly better than Shaman Stone, but it's also very subjective because it just depends on what kind of player you are. But I feel like your nail just absolutely shreds. This is why Unbreakable Strength is right now gonna be on top of my overpowered list. Weaver Song. So another minion charm. I will put this in Better Charms Exist though, and I'll put it on top of Better Charms Exist. The reason being, yes, better charms do exist than this little shithead, but it is way better than Glowing Voom. Like, way better. Why? Because these minions don't drain your soul. Instead, they gain you soul. They do damage to enemies, and with each damage, they give you a little bit of soul. Over the whole span of a boss fight, that can really add up sometimes and help you a lot. And even with their little damage that they do, it can help you a lot. Yeah, it doesn't have any synergies like Glowing Voom does, because Glowing Voom synergizes very well with Defender's Crest, but even that synergy is really dog shit. So if you're gonna go the minion route, I feel like Weaver Song, compared to these two, like Grimchild and Glowing Voom, is just the best minion build out there. Boulder Shell. Boulder Shell's pretty good. I'm gonna put it average, and I'm gonna put it below Dream Shield. This charm is kind of underrated. Yeah, it breaks and it runs out a lot, but I feel like that's only because most people use it wrong way. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. This charm only has like 2 charges, so if you take damage while healing after like 2 times, it'll break, and then this charm is completely useless till you sit on a bench and you repair it. But I feel like a lot of people use this charm wrong when they just put this on and they just try to heal willy-nilly, no problem at all. They just stand in the middle of the fight while the boss is charging at them and just press heal because they have Boulder Shell. That's not how you should be using it at all. You should be using it the way you would normally heal, which is healing smartly then the charm effects will actually amplify, because you wouldn't take damage usually when you heal in that certain moment, but those little times when you do take damage when you heal in a safe movement, this charm will protect you, and that way it'll last a lot longer. Does that make sense to you guys? So I feel like a lot of people just use this charm wrong, but at the end it's still not great, but also it's not trash, so I'm putting it lower in the average tier. Carefree Melody. Carefree Melody I'm putting in A tier, a really good charm above High Blood. A lot of people will be like bamboozled at that, but trust me, this charm is really, really good, especially in like pantheons, late game pantheons, and I don't know, modded bosses, you name it. If it's something really challenging, this charm is good, because at every hit it charges up a counter, which is a probability counter, and the higher that probability, there's a random chance that you won't take damage when you get hit, which is really good in the game, especially with later bosses that do double damage. Not getting hit when you should have taken double damage is the same as healing twice. It's actually better than healing twice, because not only do you retain your masks, you also retain the soul you would have otherwise used to heal, and you can use that soul to just continue doing damage to the boss. Really, really good charm. Such a better charm than the dumbass Grimchild that it's paired up with. Too bad that you can only get one of the other. Next up, we got Sans Dash Master. I've never really found use for this charm. It lets you dash downwards, and it lets you dash more often. I have never, ever saw the use of dashing downwards in this game. It only works to your detriment when you dash down, you accidentally end up dashing in the spikes. Now recently, in a recent Hollow Knight patch, Team Cherry fixed this charm a little bit, where it's now much more difficult to dash down on accident. But still, it's just not that useful. It is better than all these trash, so I'll just put it at the bottom of better charms exist. But again, better charms exist. And same with Deep Focus. I will put Deep Focus maybe below Weaver Song. Like, better charms exist, because problem with Deep Focus is it costs a lot of charm like notches. Not only is it very expensive, coming in at 4 charm notches, it also slows down the rate of healing. Yes, you heal like 2 damage at the same time, but at what cost? You're sacrificing your 4 charm notches, you are standing still for longer, which means taking damage has a much higher probability, so it's much riskier to heal. And yeah, you can counteract that delay by pairing it with Quick Focus, but at that point you're allotting 7 charm notches just to heal twice. I feel like those charm notches could be put to better use. So all in all, this charm isn't really that good. I feel like it allures you into believing it's much better than it is. Defender's Crest, fucking dog shit tier charm. I'm gonna put it above Grimchild. This charm is so useless, man. All it does is make you stinky. So you have an aura of stink around you, which does a little tick of damage every time someone is in that stink. Earlier, you could cheese some bosses with it, like Gru's Mother or whatever, but even that got patched out. Now, this charm has some synergy with some other charms, like Glowing Voom, and some others out there, I think. But like Fluke Nest. But, I don't know, those synergies aren't really good. They're kind of dog shit. This charm is just weird and creepy, and I don't like it. Speaking of that, Fluke Nest. I know that this charm used to be absolutely broken, and then they had to patch it. So for now, I'll leave it in average tier. I'll leave it in top of average tier because basically, it turns your fireball into a shotgun. And at one point, this charm used to be really bad. Then Team Fury buffed it, and it was really broken. Then they nerfed it again. So this charm has had a really, really strange relationship with balance. It has never been perfectly balanced. And it pairs with Defender's Crest, where instead of shooting out a bunch of little flukes, it shoots out a big fat turd fluke, which explodes. I don't really know how useful that is. I just much prefer my fireball. Anyway, I'm putting it in average because I guess if you do pair it up with Shaman Stone and you stand really close to some bosses, like Brooding Moloch, for example, you can probably burn them really quickly. But that's so niche and situational. It's just, I don't know, average. Fragile Greed. This charm lets you fucking gain money faster. It's actually pretty good though. Like over time, it really adds up. You're farming Geo a lot. I will put it like here in Better Charms Exist. Because actually, I'll put it here. Why not? Because better charms do exist in this charm. Because Geo isn't that important in this game. You will buy out every single vendor throughout your journey. pretty fast. Like, I know early on players die and they lose a lot of geo and they feel really bad because they're like, oh my god, I lost 1,000 geo or I lost 2,000 geo. But later on you come to realize that it's really, really not important. Geo, people used to hoard geo so much that Team Cherry had to introduce the unbreakable charms, and the reason they had to do that and they put it so expensive is it because it's a late game geosync where these charms cost like 12,000 geo, 15,000 geo, and at that point this charm does help a lot in farming up that geo if you don't have it at that point. But other than that, you know, better charms exist. Ooh, Fury of the Fallen. I'm putting Fury in really good, and I'm putting it right here. Fury is a really, really good charm. I feel like this is one of the best balanced charms in the game because it amplifies your damage when you're at 1 health, which rewards skill a lot in this game. And it's really cool. One thing you can do is lifeblood hearts don't count as hearts. So what a lot of players do in their Pantheon 5 speedruns is they equip Fury of the Fallen and then have a lot of lifebloods. That way, they technically have a lot of health, but with the added benefits of having Fury of the Fallen. Really good charm. It rewards a lot of like skilled play. Actually, you know what? The more I'm talking about it, the more I like it. I'm gonna bump it up. I'm gonna bump it up all the way up here. Actually, no, all the way up here. There we go. I feel like this just is a very, very rewarding charm if you're really good at the game. It might even go above Dream Wielder in my opinion. I feel like Spell Twister still beats it though because of the charm notch cost and the value it provides like more universally. But if you're insane at the game, Fear of the Fallen will reward you. It's Gathering Swarm. I'm gonna just pair this bad boy up with Greed. That's what I do. It basically collects all your geo. It could be helpful when you're farming geo for anything. If you're farming geo, because a lot of geo in this game drops in spikes or water that you can't retrieve. But if you have Gathering Swarm equipped, it'll just gather all that geo up for you and put it in your pocket. So if you put Gathering Swarm and Greed in your charm notches and you go farm a little bit, you will gain so much geo so fast. So it goes right here with the farming duo. Fucking Grubberfly allergies. I don't like this charm. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll put it on top of D tier with better charms exist. What it does is it shoots out a fucking light like anime attack from your sword. Basically, you shoot out a little projectile whenever you're at full health that I believe, correct me if I'm wrong on this, it does 1/3 the damage of your nail, of your base nail, I think. But in my experience, it's really kind of shit. It costs 3 charm notches. I feel like this should have been like 2 at the best. And the damage it provides isn't really useful. And the you rarely will be at full health in this game. A lot of times you'll be at like, you know, 3 or 4 health, not like full health. So I just believe better charms exist than this. Like this fucking Grub Song, one of the best charms in the game. Grub Song, I will put it on top of really good tier. This is such a contrast, and I'm so glad you get Grub Song super early on compared to this dog shit that you get after getting all the grubs. Grub Song is just 1 charm notch, and what it does is it gives you soul every time you take damage. This can be so helpful in boss fights, in pantheons, in exploring fucking deepness, where you're constantly taking damage, you're scared, there's not a lot of soul available. So every time you take damage, you can get a bit of soul, which lets you bring a little bit of your health back. So it increases your survivability a lot. And it even helps in boss fights. One of the rare charms that's just an all-rounder, such a good charm. It's 1 charm notch, which means it can slot into any build, no matter what. No matter what build you usually have 1 or 2 charm notches just available. Slap Grub Song on in there, you will not regret it. This charm will serve you very, very well. Next up is Joni's Blessing. This charm is so bad. It costs 4 notches and it turns all of your hearts into lifeblood. Yeah, it gives you a little bit more lifeblood, like more hearts, but they're all lifeblood's hearts. This is, in my opinion, at the, like a fucking Umu tier. I'm not even gonna put it in better charms exist. I just don't see why you would ever use this charm. I'll put it on top of Umu tier because it is, I guess, better than all the others in whatever capacity. But just, why? The only time, like, you will ever use this is to open that shitty door in the abyss because you need a lot of lifebloods to open that door. But even that door opening doesn't give you shit. It gives you the stupid lifeblood core, which is another really bad D tier charm anyway. This charm is just, man, all the Lifeblood charms are just so fucking disappointing. Like, imagine how much better this charm would be if like every 10 seconds or every certain amount of whatever ticks of damage, 10 seconds, the damage you do to the boss, every whatever, it gives you 2 Lifebloods. That would be so cool. You know, it will let you be aggressive, or if you are taking a lot of damage, it gives you 2 Lifebloods. Something more dynamic and interactable, rather than just converting all your fucking soul into unhealable stupid Lifeblood. I feel like Lifeblood charms had so much potential, and Team Cherry really fumbled the balls on the Lifeblood. I mean, Hornet is gonna have a Lifeblood syringe in Silksong. I really hope that's a better tool than all these stupid Lifeblood charms. Like Lifeblood Core, you just also go in the fucking D tier. You're just like this charm is just a weaker version of Lifeblood Core, so I'm just putting it below it. Yeah, it costs less, but it's literally the exact same as Fragile Heart, as a Fragile or Unbreakable Heart, where they both cost 2 charm notches, they both give you 2 extra health, but this one, the Fragile Heart, just gives you permanent health, while this gives you Lifeblood. So there's no reason you would ever use it. Long Nail. Long Nail is pretty good. I'll put Long Nail at the bottom of really good tier. It's not as good as I used to think it was. Back when I first started playing Hollow Knight, I thought Long Nail was really good. But then I saw some comparisons online, and I actually noticed it myself playing too. It doesn't really increase your nail a lot, to be honest. It can still be really helpful in early game especially, and I definitely got my use out of it in early game. That's why I'm putting it in really good tier. It's also a really good replacement for Mark of Pride, because it's a it's basically a cheaper and worse version of Mark of Pride. But if your build, instead of having 3 notches, it has 2 notches available, and you don't want to overcharm, Long Nail could be a really good replacement. I'm just happy that another smaller variation of Mark of Pride exists because of its versatility that it provides. That's why I'm putting it in really good tier, but I feel like it just belongs at the bottom of really good tier. Still really good though. I don't know why Nailmaster's Glory is on here twice, no clue. But Quick Focus. Quick Focus is a 3 charm notch charm that lets you heal really fast. I'm gonna put it on very top of average tier. I feel like this is good charm for people who are bad at the game. Okay, let me rephrase that. Not bad at the game, new at the game. Because I used to use it a lot when I was new at the game. Because healing quickly is really good in this game. Because a lot of bosses attack you really fast. Like, bosses are crazy. And when you can sneak a heal in at more opportunities, it's always going to be helpful. And it's much better than Deep Focus. So much better. It's cheaper, and I feel like the effect it provides is just overall better. Yeah, you still heal 1 mask, but healing it faster is pretty good. The only reason it's not really good is because of the 3 charm notch cost. If this was 2 notches, this would be like high up in really good tier in my opinion. But it's that 3 charm notch cost that, in my opinion, a lot of other charms exist that deserve your attention more than Quick Focus. Like this fucking bad boy. This bad boy is going in fucking overpowered tier. I'm gonna put it below Shaman Stone, but above Mark of Pride. It almost doubles your attack speed. And this charm used to cost 2 notches, and it was so broken that Team Cherry had to nerf it to 3 notches. But even then, I feel like it just provides so much value. This charm with Unbreakable Strength will shred anything. Especially in late game when you have like so much health, you have like 11 masks or whatever. You can face tank and shred anything. Like Frail Champion, that boss used to give me so much trouble in like main game. But when I fought him in Pantheon, and I had the nail build with Mark of Pride, fucking Strength and Quick Slash, you just melt him before he can even attack. Like while he's like, you can just like stab him while he's jumping, and you know, he jumps backwards. Just in that little animation, you can just down him. And then you can down him 3 times and he dies. It's so powerful. This combined with the strength with a pure nail is a lot of DPS. Hats off, one of the best charms in the game. Oh man, these overpowered charm lists, man, these charms you just have to be using. If you don't have any of these charms in your build, you're playing the game wrong. Sharp Shadow, a lot of people love Sharp Shadow from what I gather on the internet. A lot of people like Sharp Shadow. I have never used Sharp Shadow. I tried using it once, but it threw me off because of it increases your dash distance. But because I'm so used to my dash distance, I always misjudge it and end up dashing into an enemy or dashing into spikes. Yeah, it does damage every time you dash through something, which is really cool, but that distance just messes me up. So I know you guys might put this really high up in your tier list, but for my tier list, I feel like this charm goes right above Fluteness but below Quick Focus, because I got much more use out of Quick Focus than I did of Sharp Shadow. But I don't know, pretty good charm for some people. Soul Catcher, my boy, my son, it's going in really good tier above here, right here. This charm is really good. One of the first charms you'll ever get if you missed Fury of the Fallen, which a lot of new players miss because it's hidden. Soul Catcher will be one of the first charms you'll get. You'll equip it because the game teaches you how to, and you'll probably never want to take it off because you get so used to the amount of soul Catcher gives you that when you take it off, you feel like you're just getting no soul whatsoever. So I had this charm equipped all the way to late game, where I replaced Soul Catcher with Quick Slash, because with Quick Slash you are hitting enemies so fast that you get soul really fast back anyway, and you're probably pairing Quick Slash with more melee builds, so soul isn't that useful to you anyway. But before that, Soul Catcher was really my homie, man. It's like a weaker version of Soul Eater, but it also costs literally half as Soul Eater. So that, in my opinion, makes it a lot more versatile, a lot more helpful early on in the game, can be easily fitted into a lot of different kind of builds, which just puts it in really good tier for me, better than Soul Eater in my opinion. Spore Shroom isn't good. Spore Shroom is a bad charm, and I'm gonna put it, I don't know, I'm gonna put it above Greed, I guess, because it does do some damage. Basically, every time you heal, you fart out a cloud of fucking spores that do a little bit of damage to anyone in that cloud. You can amplify the effect of it by pairing it with Deep Focus. So if you pair these two charms together, the spore cloud is a lot bigger, and you can then pair that up with like Defender's Crest to go for the super stinky barbarian build, which I guess is funny. So yeah, again, a gimmicky charm that lets you make gimmicky builds. Not much to say, belongs in better charms exist here. This charm, Speed Demon Charm. What's it called again? Speed Master. I'm gonna put it in Umu tier. I'm gonna put it below. I don't think it deserves to be in the better charms exist here, because it increases your walk speed. But why in the fuck would you ever be walking anywhere anyway? Because when you get this charm, you already have the dash. So just dash, don't walk. It only pairs with Shape of Un. If you pair this charm with Shape of Un, you move a lot on the ground faster, so that's a pretty cool synergy, I guess. But I don't know, man. That is such a niche use that I just can't imagine putting this anywhere. Yeah, it costs one notch, but so does Grub Song, and it just provides an unprecedented amount of more value compared to fucking Speedmaster. Really stupid charm. I don't understand the point of it. Why would you walk when you can dash? Goddamn, Steady Body is again here twice, 2 repeats. I don't know why. Thorns of Agony though is pretty good. When it comes to one notch charms, Thorns of Agony is pretty good. I'm gonna put it, you know what, I'm gonna put it on top actually of average tier. You can just slot it into any build, and whoever does damage to you, they take a lot of damage. This charm can come in clutch, like if you're in a really close boss fight, the boss is about to die, the boss hits you but then takes damage himself and dies, something like that. This charm, although, is the worst in Fog Canyon. Never equip this charm in Fog Canyon, because every time you take damage by the little jellyfish, this thing will shoot out spikes that will probably hit the big jellyfish, and then that thing will just kamikaze on top of you. So other than Fog Canyon, Thorns of Agony is pretty good. You can just throw this bad boy in your deck and kind of forget about it. It's really helpful, and it's also helpful in like the trials as well, in the Colosseum. Pretty average charm, top of average. Regular Greed. I'm just gonna pair this up with Fragile Greed. Nothing new to say about it. Same as before. Although the only tip I'll give you is when you're getting unbreakable charms, get this one first, because it lets you farm for the other two much easier. Oh, a third repeat charm. Oh well, okay. Void Heart, again, Void Heart, I'm just gonna... Void Heart and Wayward Compass, they just are in their own tier, because Void Heart does nothing. So I'm just gonna put it, I guess, there, because it's just a lower charm. It costs you 0 charm notches. You can't take it off. It's just there for low reasons. Nothing else to say about it. And Compass is used for navigation. Actually, I will rate the Compass though. Compass is going top of S tier. For the memes, boys! Wayward Compass, most OP charm in the game, you know? But anyway, that's my charm list, my charm tier list. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Probably disagree. Let me know in the comments of where you would place certain charms differently as I have. I've been yapping about for like 50 minutes, so I'm gonna end the video here. But subscribe to the channel if you guys enjoyed my tier list, and I'll see you guys soon with a new video.